All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you today, Cheryl. Doing our No More series, we're interviewing different overcomers that have decided to say no more to an area or obstacle in their life. And so I know that you have overcome many things throughout life, but if there was one area that you could speak on that you have overcome, what would that area be?
I would say for this topic, it would be like overcoming the poverty mentality. And to be honest, it's still kind of I'm a work in progress. It's tough to not slip back, into that thinking sometimes when things start to look a little grim. But I've learned how to kind of overcome that and remind myself of the greater things. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then tell me, what did your life look like when you were operating in the poverty mindset?
Well, if you don't mind, I want to share a little bit of my story here. I think it's important to understand, kind of what people go through, and I really feel that the Lord allowed me to go through this period of time for a reason, so that I can relate with other people. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that are going to really relate to this. And a lot of people that are probably still stuck in this mentality and this thinking right now. And um, I guess I should start by saying that I moved here to Texas about 9 years ago to be closer to my fiance. And about 1 week after I moved here, he lost his job. He had this career job, great job for 20 years. And they outsourced his job to another country, his position. And all of a sudden now he doesn't have a job. And when I moved here, I wasn't working either. I was on a workman's comp claim for an injury. And so things were really scary. And here we were planning a wedding and all excited about that, but yet going, oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But God had it in his hands, and I thank God my husband, well, my fiance at the time, is a relentless optimist, and just both of us really love the Lord and we're involved in church and everything. But even as Christians, it's hard sometimes to not dwell in the negative, to not worry and not, be overly concerned about our circumstances and how we're going to get through. And I'm kind of ashamed to say that I really kind of lost my focus and my perspective. And it was just one trial after another. We were probably married about 9 months after I moved here, and we still didn't have work. But right after, a couple of weeks after, we actually got kicked out of our rental house. Our landlord lost the house to the bank, and like literally one day, just people showed up, constables, whatever, showed up at our door and said, "You've got 3 hours to get all your stuff out of this house." And we're like, "What?" We were already kind of planning on moving. We knew that that this day was possibly going to come. We just didn't know when. And so we had already, had a lot of our stuff packed up, but it was still a shock. And to think that we just had to literally put everything on the lawn and go figure out what we were going to do, where we were going to go. We had no place to go. And I was actually waiting for a settlement to end and come through. And any day I was supposed to have a check in the mail. But I didn't have that yet. And here we didn't have any place to go. And to make a long story short, we stayed in a hotel for a few days, and some friends helped us out and put all of our stuff in a moving van and just parked it until the doors started opening, and we were able to get into another place. And so we were finally able to get into another place. And we're okay for about 6 months or so, and still looking for jobs. And if it wasn't for that settlement I had, I don't know what we would have done. That just really helped to bring us through, carry us through the next few months. And we finally, our unemployment ran out. We got to the end of our rope and just said, we're just going to have to accept something, anything, any kind of job. And so we both had been looking, obviously, and we say kind of settled for jobs that weren't what we really wanted to do, but we had to do something. And so that was kind of tough. We really had to swallow our pride and just do whatever we could find. And so we did that for a while. Over the next 6 years, we were both either unemployed, took turns being unemployed, or majorly underemployed, and just had to utilize food banks and borrowing from this to pay that, and title loans and just all kinds of crazy stuff to make it through. And it was not an easy time at all. And I remember just crying out to the Lord, rescue us, what's going on? Why are we just, going from one trial to another? And we felt like, we were being faithful, in our church and being a part and serving and so forth where we could. And we were praying, and I was praying and just really seeking God. But I was doing a lot of complaining too. I was really complaining. I was really like, why, trying to understand and just feeling lost and feeling like, God, are you there? Are you even hearing me? Why aren't we seeing the end of this struggle? This is just crazy. You can just open up a door and we can have better jobs, or, whatever. Why isn't this happening? It was just such a confusing time. And I just was lost. And so I started having these divine appointments through work and just meeting people that would just sow something into me, just, lift me up, encouraging words. And I've had aspirations and dreams of writing book and speaking on different things that have happened to me in my life. And for a few decades, I'm not young in my 20s anymore like you, but I'm learning that it doesn't matter how old you are, God can still use you. And I started thinking, Lord, I'm not getting any younger. If you want to use me, how come I'm not being used? But yet I was struggling with all this other poverty thinking and mentality at the same time. And then it finally started clicking, that I needed to have a shift in my thinking. And I was invited to this women's retreat where all that was kind of talked about, and how it's more important to serve others than to be served, and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I was raised in a Christian home. In fact, my parents were ministers my entire life. And so I knew all this, right? And I've had some things happen, and maybe we'll share some of those other stories later on, but that has caused a lot of, some bitterness, and I didn't realize that I hadn't completely forgiven other people and even myself. I've made some mistakes over, in my past, and that things that I was kind of ashamed of, and I thought I had let it go, and I thought I had forgiven those other people that have hurt me, and even myself. And I was at this retreat, and they just help us to really just lay it all at the feet of Jesus, and lay it on his cross, that he died for us, and that we don't have to take that shame or keep that shame or push those feelings down anymore and just pretend that, everything's okay. That he wants us to give it over to him and just lay it at his feet. And so I did that. And I tell you what, I've done that stuff before in the past, and I don't know, it was just something about this particular time that it was the combination of, you've got to let things go. You've got to forgive. You got to forgive yourself. And also, if you're wanting to see a change in your life, to really focus on serving and giving and others and putting others before you. And I didn't realize how selfish I was being in this mentality that I had taken on. And I wasn't looking at it as being selfish, but it really was, because it was just all about me, in a sense of just surviving and getting by, and just constantly crying out to the Lord and for help, and why, and just complaining about our situation, and not really showing my gratefulness to the Lord, and thinking about all the things that he was providing. I didn't realize, I don't know how I didn't realize, but I was so blinded by all that mentality, that negativity, that I didn't even stop to think about all the positive that was happening. I didn't see any positive. I was just wallowing in my self-pity. And my husband was trying to be, to constantly focus, on the positive, and tell me, we have it so much better off than other people. We still have a roof over our head. We still have food on the table. You still have clothes on your back. You still have this, you still have that. We had jobs. They weren't the jobs we wanted. They didn't pay what we wanted. And, we had gone down to one car, but we still had a car. And, it was like I had to, you've heard people say, lose it all, or I can't think of the terminology now, but, got to the point where, my one car, the air conditioning didn't work. The window was taped up, I'm trying to get to work, and both of us getting to work was horrible. It was just crazy. But at the same time, we still had a job, we still had a car, we still had. And so that switch finally flipped over, and I was just like, oh, I get it now. I've got to focus on what is positive and what is good, and all the things that we do have. And I just felt like God was telling me that yes, you need to be grateful for all these things, and look at what I've done for you. I died for you. I gave my life for you. And that's something to be grateful for. And so I talked to my husband one day, and I was like, we just need to pray together, and just really start vocalizing out loud what we're grateful for, and go from there. And so we started doing that, and I tell you what, it was not easy for me at first. It was probably perfectly easy for him, but it was not easy for me at first, because I wasn't really feeling it. I was making myself say out loud, okay, what am I grateful for? And I just had to think of like the basic things at first, okay, Lord, yes, I am. We do have a roof over. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the bed I sleep in. I'm grateful. These little things. But the more I started saying those things, the easier it became. The more things I started thinking of, like, oh yes, my salvation and my healing, I get wisdom and knowledge and understanding for my job, and just to navigate this life. And I started thinking, you know what, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that I don't know about, that God is doing and preparing, and his angels are protecting, and all these things. And so I just started even acknowledging that, Lord, thank you for all the things that I don't know about, that you're taking care of. And it was just going on and on and on. Our prayer time was just going on and on, and I was like, oh, this is getting easier. And I started seeing this shift, and I started being happier, and I started going, wow, this is just awesome. God, you're just so amazing. And little things started happening, and I started seeing more favor in my work, and I found a better job, and And one day I was thinking, Lord, we just really need another car. This is just miserable, this situation that we're in. And one day I got a call from an older lady in our church, and she's just out of the blue was like, I have this car for you. I just feel like I'm supposed to give you this car. It's an older car, and I don't need it anymore. And I just heard that you needed a car, and if you want it, you can have it. And I'm just like, what? And I'm like, who gives you a car? I hardly knew this person. And it was just amazing that we actually got this car for free. And I was like, wow. And this was about a month after we started doing this prayer and thanking God and everything. And then about a month after that, right after that, we started focusing on my husband's job and how would the Lord want us to pray for that situation and to better that situation, because he really needed a different job that paid better. And he was really miserable where he was. But in spite of that, we decided we're gonna actually pray for the current job he has. We're gonna pray for his bosses and pray that this company excels, and that if it's God's will that he stay there, that he would be okay with that and content, because we're supposed to be content with where we are and what we have until God moves us forward into something else. And so we started praying that way, and things started shifting, and he started getting appointments or interviews with other places that weren't coming through before. And then before long, he ended up getting a new, better job. And I was just like, oh God, you're just so awesome. And I just was like, man, why wasn't I like this before? I suffered for all these years and this mentality. And I'm like, if I only knew that being grateful and thankful would be so transforming and so life-changing, I would have done it long before. I mean, but it's just one of those things that it's so easy to get caught up in what's going on and the misery of life and the things that hold us back and keep us down, that it's hard sometimes to be thankful, to be grateful for even the little things. So that's just kind of a little bit of, to tell you what, we were going through and how the poverty mentality can just really hold you back, but that you can get out of it. And it is something that if you can overcome that mentality and that negativity, it's only by the grace of God that we get through each and every day. And we do have to be so grateful for what he's done and what he's doing and what he's going to do, because he's the one that controls our future in our hands. And we just have to do our best, to get through it all. And he's going to be right there to carry us through. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That was awesome. That's amazing and a powerful story. Just a testimony to say, hey, I wasn't content and I was complaining, and then when you decided that, hey, this isn't working out, and your husband's like, well, let's go ahead and, pray about it and thank God for what we do have, because it could be worse, and that's something
Absolutely.
that I have to remind myself of, like, it could be so much worse than this. And so that is
Right.
powerful. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, hey, we complain about, small things, but hey, it's somebody that has it even worse than we do. And so we have to be grateful. And I love how you just shared, when you got to a point of, okay, we're going to thank God for what we have now. And then God opens up a door. Once you do that, now somebody's like, hey, you need a card? I got a card for you. It's like showing God that I appreciate now. I know this is not my final, but I just thank you for what you're already doing. And in this, I'm going to be grateful. And so that's wonderful. That is amazing. And I do want to ask you, if you could speak to somebody that is experiencing the poverty mindset or just not content, discontentment. They're not happy with the way life is. What would you say to that individual?
Well, I would say, think about where's your mindset? What is it that you dwell on? What is it that you are finding yourself thinking about and focused on? What are you pouring into your mind? And if you're watching the news a lot, there's so much negativity out there, then that's what's going to be, you're going to be dwelling on, that you're going to be thinking on. If you can switch your mindset, your thinking over to the things of the Lord and praise and worship and like I said, switching gears, thinking about, is there something or someone that I need to forgive? Is there somebody, do I need to forgive myself for something? And just thinking about what you can do to change that mindset, to start thinking more positively, focus on, even if it's the little things. I know that there's people out there that are suffering and have gone through or going through a lot more difficult things than what I just shared. But there's always something positive. There's always something good that you can think about and be grateful for. And, even if it's just the one meal you might have a day, or the clothes that you have on your back, or the family that's around you, the job that you do have, or even if you don't have a job, but you're looking for a job, and just, all the doors that God opens. And sometimes we just need to be thankful for even the littlest things. And I think when God sees our heart and he sees that we're trying to change, and we're trying to be grateful, we're trying to be thankful for all these things just shift in the spirit. And it's just amazing. I just was so amazed to see how it was like, really, I just never really thought that your attitude and how you think and how you view would have so much impact on and relevance on your life and how things pan out, and the favor that you have. And it really does. It makes a difference. And I just challenge anybody to try it, to try being more positive, to try to think about what am I grateful for? And we have Thanksgiving is coming, and it's just, this is a time that we need to be thinking about what we are grateful for, and not all cheesy, like, because Thanksgiving comes around and we're like, yeah, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that. But really, what are you really grateful for? Because God wants to know, and he wants us to thank him. He wants us to praise him. He wants us to show him how much we love him and how grateful that we are that he died for us, and the sacrifice, the tremendous sacrifice that he made for us, not only for our salvation, but for our healing. And it's just all that stuff,
Yeah.
but just gotta be positive and grateful.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you have so much wisdom. And I know when we spoke before, you were telling me about other things you have overcame and everything. So keep sharing, keep sharing the wisdom and the experiences that you have had throughout life, because they're going to help people. We never know what people are dealing with. A lot of times people don't tell you what they're dealing with, but if you just open up your mouth
That's right.
and share, and be a living witness and a living testimony, it'll help a lot of people, especially in the areas that you have overcome. Like I said, not even just this story, but we'll definitely have you again to share some of the other things you've been through, because it's needed. It's so needed. And so I do want to go ahead and let you share like ways that people can get in contact with you, because I know this is a powerful session here on this series, and somebody somebody may want you to tell some other testimonies. So how can they get in contact with you? What's all of your platforms that you're on?
Well, I am on Facebook, Sheryl Lockhart. Sheryl Bradshaw Lockhart. Bradshaw is my maiden name. And I'm on Instagram. Those are the two main things that I really work with right now. But absolutely, I would just love to have anybody that has any questions or wants to hear more about my testimony or anything, to reach out, and I'll be glad to talk to them. And one of these days I'll have a book.
Yes, you are going to have a book soon. There's a book in you.
Yes, absolutely. I'm working on it. Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Yes. Me too. Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you for spending your time here with us today and just sharing your wisdom, sharing that obstacle that you have overcome, and just giving us insight about, what life was like in it when you decided to change and figured out, hey, this is no longer working for me. And then you decided to do something about it. And then the results you got were amazing. So that's definitely something other people need to hear. So we can put that into action as well, and
Sounds
get good
good.
results and overcome, because I'm all about overcoming and being better and not being stuck
Yes,
in your
absolutely.
past, and, not being stuck in obstacles that's try to destroy you. Because even the mindset,
Mhm.
when you have a negative mindset, that can destroy your whole life, your whole future. But you decided to say, okay, no, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to be grateful and thankful, for what I do have. And then boom, God blew your mind, and things just started to take off from there. And it's going to continue to take off because you're just being grateful and thankful for what you do have. And
Right.
so I just thank you for your time. Thank you for being a light in a dark world and showing other people through your testimony that they too can overcome. We will definitely have you back again.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much. And God
Thank you,
bless.
Mary, for having me. I really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed this a lot, and so grateful for you, girl.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye. Okay. So now